Welcome to the Path to Healing with me, Hazel Grogan. And in this series, we're looking at healing on all levels of the body. And I believe that learning to breathe properly, especially in times of stress and anxiety, is so important. So in this episode, I'm chatting to Niall O Murchu from breathewithniall.com, and we will look at the different ways to breathe to unlock our body's true potential, simply and effectively. Using the Wim Hof method of breathing with cold therapy and lots of focus and commitment, you too can transform your life. We will learn to breathe deeply and profoundly. Niall is a husband, a father of 4 from Dublin, and he's also a level 3 certified instructor of the Wim Hof method of breathing. He's also a herbalist and a shamanic healer. And I'm delighted to welcome him to the series. It has been a long time that I wanted to get you to have this chat. Only because obviously this is my series that I'm doing at the moment. Is called The Path to Healing, and I'm trying to connect in with all levels of the body, so spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, right? And I believe that with the breath, it comes across all levels.
Yeah.
So give us a bit of background about your story first, and how you got into it, because I know you do the Wim Hof method of breathing. You also do shamanic breathing. How did the journey start for you?
Well, when I was a teenager, I was obsessed with playing basketball. I played basketball for Ireland, and that was really my obsession. And my mom and dad, you could kind of call them kind of old hippies. They came from that kind of era, and they were always very open. There was always yoga and tai chi and meditation, all that kind of was kind of in the house all the time. And my mom kind of went down the route of her interest in healing and Reiki and all types of healing. But of course, as a teenager, I was rebelling against that and, pushed that to the as far away as possible. But eventually then, when I kind of stopped playing basketball and started doing a lot of martial arts, I was fighting in a lot of tournaments, and I was getting, really badly injured. And so my mom would kind of bring me in, settle me down, and I'd be like, oh, I have this massive black eye, and she'd do some healing, some Reiki, or some kind of energy kind of healing, and it really worked.
Yeah.
And then my cynical nature, I was a bit older, I wasn't rebelling as much, and then I kind of really developed an interest in how we can use the things that we have around us to improve our lives, to make us better, to heal ourselves, to find meaning in our lives. And to just get the most out of this very precious experience that we have. And that led me down lots of different type of routes, meditation and healing and yoga. And I was even teaching Reiki in London for years, and all these very, very interesting things. And eventually it led me to Wim Hof. And,
okay. Because say for instance with me as well, you're saying about your mom, like my kids, I have a Niall as well, and he says, oh my God, Mom, please don't do that hippie shit. Don't do that stuff. But he knows that when he's sick, or there's anything wrong with him, if he gets any injuries, he plays does martial arts, he does rugby. They all come to me to say, Mom, Reiki me. We never go for the medicine cabinet. We always go for the Reiki first, and if that all else fails, then we go for like the ibuprofen or whatever it is that we use for muscle pain, right? So, and as well, I always teach them too to do the breathing, right?
Yeah.
Because I do understand the whole thing about the power of the breath. But when from what I can gather, the Wim Hof breath is something on a different level altogether. Like, I teach breathing in my Reiki, but I feel that with Wim Hof, it's much more powerful. So tell me how you got into the Wim Hof. Where did the Wim Hof journey come in?
Well, it was like you're right. Like I'd done breathing for Qigong, breathing for martial arts for years. I had done pranayama breathing for yoga for a decade, by the time I found Wim Hof. And it was at a period in myself and my wife, Josie, our 4 children were quite young. And we were really struggling dealing with 4 young children and the pressures that come with that. And, we were exhausted. There had been a few deaths in the family. We were struggling to deal with grief. And I heard Wim speaking on a podcast one night, and what he said sounded so unbelievable, that with a little bit of breathing and combining it with cold, we could transform how we feel and how we think. And like that, I went into it with an open mind, but also with lots of experience in different ways of breathing. And when I started breathing in this kind of new way, very simple, just big breaths, nice and gently, and letting go and holding the breath, I felt so different.
Yeah.
You know, so pranayama and qigong breathing are very important, but the way Wim Hof created his breathing based on his experience in nature, it just cuts straight to the source of everything.
Yeah.
If you lie down and do some Wim Hof breathing, after 10 minutes, you are different. You are changed.
Because say for instance, for me, coming from a singing point of view, because I used to be a singer before, and I would have also used those belly breaths, those real deep belly breaths. So you have to really breathe down into the diaphragm. And even last night I did a bit while I was watching one of Wim Hof's videos last night, and it's so different. Like I could really feel how it makes you light. It's like a lightheadedness when you take those really deep breaths and you breathe right, the inhale breathing up right up into the head. It really makes you feel a bit fuzzy.
Yes.
Like I've never ever experienced that, even in my breathing with yoga, Reiki, any of those. I've never felt it so much on a different level. And like obviously with the cold, where he brings the cold therapy into it. So explain what the science is behind the cold.
Yeah, so anybody who's jumped in the sea or had a cold shower knows that feeling of shock and chaos when the cold hits us. So what we do, so even if a person doesn't know how to deal with the cold, let's say somebody jumps into the sea in Portmarnock, you know, and comes out, being in the cold has balanced their hormones. It's improved the circulation in their body. It's improved their cardiovascular fitness, even just getting in and out of the cold really quickly. When you add in on top of that your ability to use your breath to find peace and calm in the chaos of the cold, then something even deeper happens. Then the body starts releasing endocannabinoids from the brainstem, which makes us feel euphoric, which reduces pain, which reduces inflammation. And what we've seen from the science is that when we kind of when we get better at the skill of being able to use our breath to find some sense of peace and calm in the cold, that benefit of inflammation going down in the body stays with us for 6 days afterwards. You know, so inflammation we could argue that inflammation is probably the major source of the majority of the diseases that we face in the West at the moment. You know, so if we can use our breath to find that little sense of control in the cold and allow all these things to happen to us, that's where the real benefit starts to kick in.
Because my mother-in-law, my husband's from Portmarnock, so my mother-in-law goes down there every day, and she'd get us to go down to low rock or high rock, and we'd stand there with her with a towel, and she literally only goes in for like 2 minutes. You're like, what is the point of that, right? And then I had experience. So I bought my mobile down in British Bay, down in Wicklow, right? And 2014, we bought this old mobile. It was like a dodgy mobile. And we said, we'll just see, because I've never mobile before. And my husband, we bought this mobile. It had no hot water, right? It just had cold showers. So I get up every morning, put the kettle on, go to have my shower with pouring the warm water over my head. And he'd go into the shower and he'd be like, no, Hazel, it's just a different form of breathing. For the first few seconds, you'd hear him, and I was like, oh my God, no, that would just be terror for me. But I totally get it, because, you know, after being in British and going in, you know, in the February, March, where you go in and just like test the water, you feel totally exhilarated, even if it is only for 2 minutes of getting in. Your body just comes alive. Even I get it that when you say those breaths, because you automatically, when you get that coldness, you feel the shock. So obviously that's what it does. It does it do something to your skin? Does it do something within your body that shocks and jolts your body?
Yes, absolutely. Because once that cold hits us, you're right, that shock pushes us into fight or flight. You know, so the body gets this huge burst of energy to deal with the perceived danger, which is the cold. So your body's telling you, jump out, you know. But when we can control that and breathe our way through it and find that on the other side of that is actually a sense of tranquility in the cold, then the body is able, when we feel that, when we can breathe our way through it, the body is then safe. It feels safe again. It moves down from fight or flight down into what's known as rest and digest. And when it's down in rest and digest, that part of the nervous system, that's where we start to heal. Even in the cold, that's where we start to restore ourselves, find balance again. And this is where the real benefit is, because if you can find that sense of balance and harmony in the cold, then when the other pressures in life come at us, and which they will, there's no doubt they will, we can use our breath then in the same way as we use it in the cold to deal with those pressures. And the breath we use in the cold is even, the full Wim Hof breathing, the deep breaths and holding the breath. We don't actually do that in the cold. We simplify it down and we just focus on our exhale. So when we get into the cold, we're like, and our breath is taken away. We just focus on that, trying to find that exhale again. The inhale will always look after itself. Without inhaling, it's game over. So the body just knows how to do it. But finding that exhale is difficult because so it's trying to elongate that exhale. And when we get about 5 or 6 of those long exhales going, the vagus nerve in the back of the brain activates, drops the heart rate, the body starts to feel safe, the body starts to heal itself. But most importantly, the body starts to find a solution to the problem. It starts to adapt. So
it's like mind over matter. It's like you're trying to, your intention is I'm safe because you're trying to get your mind to do that part to tell you that you're safe. So it's trying to get that part of the mind body balance.
Yeah, and it's really, it is mind over matter, but it's nearly like we do it the opposite way. We do it the matter over mind way, because the brain listens to the lungs. So if the lungs are pumping away because we're in the cold and we don't know what we're doing and we feel awful and frightful and this is going to kill us, the brain starts to react like that and our mind starts to become chaotic. But if we say to our lungs, exhale, exhale, and the lungs start to become calm and they start opening and closing really softly and they start breathing deeply, the brain listens to that. It starts to become harmonious and then the mind starts to feel calm. So it is mind over matter, and thankfully it's the lungs that we're using the lungs to change how they're breathing, change how they're moving. The brain is then listening to the lungs, and then we're feeling the effects of that.
And obviously because of the experience that we've just gone through in the last year, obviously, with the COVID experience and that, I have noticed that so many more people have taken back to the sea. Like we have all these things on our doorstep, people, if they were in their 5K or whatever, that they have the sea, people were going down, even if it was just to get their feet into the water, in the cold water. But I've seen, and I because I'm from over this side, that I've seen so many people going in, and they're going in from first thing in the morning and they're going in, in the middle of the day, because obviously it's a way of exercise for them. I know the benefits of like salt water on the body, how it gets rid of all negative energy. But when you went originally on your journey with the Wim Hof, what was the training with him? Tell me a bit about his life, who Wim Hof is.
Yeah, so Wim Hof, for anybody who hasn't seen him yet, and he's all over the place at the moment, is a Dutch man who became very famous for world records that he held for being encased in ice for nearly 3 hours, for running up Mount Everest with no equipment, just in a pair of shorts, no oxygen, doing all these amazing superhuman things. But Wim Hof's real contribution is the fact that he could do those things was based on this very simple way of breathing and this very simple way of combining with the cold. And Wim felt that by using those tools, he could do these superhuman things. But the important part of it was that anyone could do the same. So he could teach anyone to use those techniques to do superhuman things. So for Wim, it was climbing up Mount Everest. But everyone's mountain is different, so everyone's struggle is different. So somebody's Mount Everest could be dealing with the stress in their lives or improving their health, whatever it was. So that's what kind of really drew me to it, is that we all have this ability to unlock, unlimited amounts of energy, to unlock deep health and healing in our bodies, and unlock this ability to deal with extreme pressure just through breathing and just through the cold. So when I went to train with Wim, back when I trained, it was about a year-long process to become an instructor, and there was different stages of it. The first stage is kind of completing an online course and doing homework. And then this is all way before COVID. Then we flew to Holland and we spent a weekend in Wim's house with him and his instructors, jumping into ice baths and doing all that kind of good stuff. And then you have loads of work to do. And then finally, at the very end of it, you went to Poland for a week up in this mountain range in the depths of winter. And in that week, you had exams and you had tests, but you also had to climb up these huge mountains and just in shorts and jump into rivers full of ice, and
Like
have
extreme endurance, like
it's
really
extreme. It
pushing your
sounds
body.
extreme,
Yeah,
but it starts with that little bit of cold at the end of your hot shower the year before, and you
yeah,
slowly build up to it. So by the time you get to the mountain, and the mountain is huge, the mountain takes about 2.5 hours to get to the top,
yeah,
and it's minus 20 degrees at the top, and you're wearing a pair of shorts, and it's another 2.5 hours down. By the time you get there, you're well able for it.
yeah.
You're ready for it. And that's how I became an instructor. And thankfully now, in more recent times, I've had the privilege that I teach alongside Wim Hof on his winter expeditions now. So
Very good.
it's amazing to have experienced that myself, and now to be on the other side helping other people experience it as well.
Yeah, because I know what you're saying about endurance. I know it's nothing to do with the cold, but I went to Medjugorje a few times, and you climb Creechevex in your bare feet, and it's like
Yeah.
full of stones and rocks.
Yeah.
And you have to come. It's actually not too bad going up, but when you're coming back down onto all the sharp stones, it's amazing how your body gets over that, the willpower of I need to get to the bottom.
Yes,
And
exactly.
how your body pushes you to do that. Like after about 10 minutes in and going on all of those sharp stones, your whole body weight, your body actually, the endurance and the extreme endurance of it is just to get to the focus point of getting to the end. And obviously I hate the cold. So for me, like that would be total extreme. But it's how what you're saying is starting slow, stepping into the shower, doing those things, the 2 minutes or the 10 seconds in the shower, and building yourself up before you go further on in your training.
Yeah, and you're right about kind of coming down the mountain. We are built to survive harsh conditions.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, we don't have to endure harsh conditions like that all the time. But there are endless stories of people who did amazing things because they had to, and so we do have the ability to do these incredibly difficult things when it comes to it. Now, we don't want to do these incredible things, difficult things, harsh things every single day, but that's where the cold comes in. The cold is like that little bit of discomfort every day that we learn how to find comfort in the discomfort. And that makes us strong. It makes us mentally strong, mentally resilient. It makes the body strong, but more so, it makes the mind strong. If a person is kind of struggling with things, and they're finding it hard to deal with the pressure or worry or anxiety, whatever it is, at the end of their hot shower, they start off with 10 seconds of cold. They get out and they feel amazing. And they start doing that every single day. And every single day is like a little victory then. Before they start the day, they've already faced the cold. They've already faced their fear. And they're starting then from that position. And that's where the mental resilience and the strength comes from.
Yeah, because I did Christmas, the 21st of December, they have the solstice here, and all the women went down to the beach in Portmarnock, and they were all running in. They all had these big gloves and hats and shoe things and all, the body gear, the wetsuits, all that. And I was like, I didn't have one of them. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go down. And I mean, for the whole night I was awake thinking, oh my God, why did I say I was going to do this? Why did I say I was going to do this? And in Portmarnock Beach, when you go to Portmarnock, especially when the tide is out, it's that anticipation to get there. Again, it's like trying to build yourself up. I can do this. And when you get in, I suppose it's again the fear thing of like, oh, feel the fear and do it anyway. Like I kept saying, oh my God, I'm going to chicken out by the time I get there, because I knew it was so cold. It was really cold on that day. And when we got in, I mean, we were in for about 5-6 minutes, which, winter, 24th of December was a long time. The thing was my hands and my feet, because I didn't have that protection, that they were so cold. But I take it after a while of doing it. I saw Wim last night. He was saying that's what you do first. You start with the extremities first, your hands and your feet. Get your hands and feet in, then slowly, gradually get your body in, and then we are back. And I said, how is he doing that? Because I think that process is even worse. I'd rather just jump into a cold or an ice bath, because you get that shock.
Yeah, well, it just depends on what you're feeling that day, But the reason the cold extremities, the fingers and toes, get so cold and painful in the cold is because our bodies are really, really intelligent. So when we get into the beach in Portmarnock in the water, the body wants to keep the core warm. All those very important organs in the core. So the blood vessels in our extremities begin to close, not close fully, but constrict in order to keep the blood that's warm in the core. So we feel that pain in our fingers and toes, because when the blood vessels constrict, we feel it. But really, you know, it's a warning sign a little bit, but it's good that it's happening, because like, you know, your body's doing its job then. You know, it's keeping that core warm. And like in extreme circumstances, which nobody would recommend, but in extreme circumstances, that's why people might lose a finger or a toe in the cold, because the body's willing to sacrifice a toe or a finger rather than sacrifice the core. So you got a little taste of that in the in Portmarnock.
But I mean, you're the that morning when we were down there, there was, I mean, social distance and all, but there was hundreds of people down there, right? They were all on the beach. They were all dancing. It absolutely exhilarated after us, because when you come out, you have this, it's like, you know, all of your endorphins, the happy hormones come out. Everyone was in absolutely the best form. And now I understand why people are doing it every day. Some people are doing it twice a day. And like especially at these times when you can't get to the gym, you can't do the things that you want to do, that, you know, your normal everyday things, that gives you that mindfulness, gives you that peace. People are going down to do it in that way. And as I said, even if you're starting off by just getting your feet in, by just even starting with your feet, small is better than nothing.
And I think with the cold, we always have to be respectful of the cold. You know, the cold is a strong force, and you know, it's an aspect of Mother Nature, and nature is the boss. You know, so putting your feet in the first time, going a little bit longer the next time, whatever it is, we always have to be very respectful of the cold, because the time that we're not, and the time that we become arrogant, is the time that she shows us who the boss is.
Because I only learned how to swim, and I'm 44 now. I only learned how to swim 4 years ago, right? And it was that same thing as standing beside, she at one point, we were like 6 weeks in, she told me to stand beside the deep end. That for me was a massive trigger, because I know in a past life I died in the water, because I see that a lot. And that thing of feel the fear and do it, just jump in, just do it, you know. And you could see the women just running down the beach that day, because they've obviously done it so many times. I was like, how are they doing this? But especially as well for women, these breaths for women would be so good in childbirth, I take it. Would it be? Have you ever had that experience where somebody's asked you to train them for that?
Well, what often happens after the workshops is that people say, oh my God, that reminds me exactly of when I had my first or second or whatever child. And you know what Wim really did was he didn't create these things from nowhere. We rediscovered them. You know, we know how to breathe. When a person's under stress, they breathe, they breathe in a very certain way. When women are giving birth, they breathe in a certain way to deal with it. We know these things instinctively. What Wim did was this: he brought them all together in a way that we could understand very simply, and in a way that we could practice very easily.
Because I did a little bit of it last night, where he practiced the thing of breathing down to the belly and holding the breath. What's the reason for holding the breath?
It's interesting. So when we're breathing, we're taking the big breaths in, oxygen levels in the body are going up, and CO2 levels in the body are going down. So when we take that final breath in and we breathe out, we're holding the breath. The body has absorbed lots of the oxygen, so we're actually fine. We're good, even though we're not breathing. And it allows us to hold our breath for a little bit longer than we would usually, because we've absorbed so much oxygen. So again, this is taking us out of how we normally breathe and bringing us into a new kind of part of our bodies that we don't usually get access to. And then as we kind of hold our breath for a little bit longer, the CO2 in the body starts to kind of come up. And again, we don't usually feel these sensations, because we usually breathe in a kind of shallow enough kind of way. So in this taking us to the extremes, oxygen disappearing, CO2 going up, and taking this to this area that we don't usually go to, in there, all these amazing things start to happen. The body starts to release different types of chemicals into it. The chemistry in the body starts to change. It starts to become more alkaline, more balanced, more cohesive, more harmonious. And that's because we're taking it to this new place that we don't usually go to, but we're built to go there, but we don't usually in the everyday run of the day go there. So the breath holds are important. But again, like the cold, we always have to be respectful of it. You know,
Yeah.
we kind of only hold for as long as is possible. And if you're passing out, then you're going too far.
Yeah, because I did it last night a few times, and I said because I'm a singer, I'm able to hold my breath. But when
Yeah.
you're consciously doing it and you're counting, you know, he does this 30 breaths in,
Yeah.
out, and then you hold. And the first time I did 40 something seconds.
Yeah.
The second time 47, the third time 40,
Yeah.
59. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe how much that you could actually do it if you practice it.
Yes.
So what's the difference of the breaths by doing it that way than normal mindfulness breathing? What's the difference of, like, when we do it in, in our yoga, or we do it in our
Yeah.
meditation practice? That is because of the focus being, because I know from me, if I'm trying to do meditation, I'm constantly, the washing, the kids, the homework.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think with this one, because of the cold, it makes you think of nothing else but the cold.
Yeah. So you're right. So they're both very similar. When you get into the cold, you can't think of anything except surviving the cold.
Yeah.
So it is like the ultimate form of meditation. You cannot think about the washing or the homework or the children, because all you can think about is this experience.
Yeah.
So that helps with it. The breathing as well. I often get people saying to me, look, I can't meditate, or I find it very difficult to meditate. And with the breathing, when you lie down to do the breathing, it's very simple. All you have to do is just follow the breathing. Let your mind go wherever it wants to go. And after one round, when you hold your breath for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, and then the next round, the chemistry in the body is actually changing. So even if a person finds it difficult to meditate, and even if their mind is drifting a little bit, slowly the mind is calming down.
Yeah.
So at the end of 2 or 3 or 4 rounds of breathing, it's like you've been meditating for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's that same feeling, but without the struggle of trying to grab the mind and drag it back to, to being kind of focused on one thing. So it's a great tool for people who might struggle with meditation, or who might be very energetic and find it difficult to sit down and do something like that. It's just like, just follow the breathing. Don't worry about it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Mechanically do it. Let the lungs do their job. Let the brain listen to the lungs. Enjoy it, and it'll work. That's the best part.
It's like everything is the practice. Like, I mean, I know when I'm teaching my students, is when you get to that stage where you have the anxiety or the stress building up, try to take a few deep breaths, or tap in the thymus stump. I find that most people, especially Irish people, always hold it here or in their head. So like I did it last week myself, where I felt like, it was like this, the energy came up within me, and I was like, I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. And here I am, I'm doing this 20 years.
Yeah.
But I really found last night, by doing it in this way, it gave me because I felt that the counting part was good for me. I was like the count of the 30 breaths in and out, and then the counting of my breath while I was holding it. I felt that gave me the focus. So that was my experience of it.
Yeah. And that works for a lot of people, because really the counting is a great trick, because it kind of gets the conscious mind, which is thinking about all the stuff. I have to pay attention to the counting. So in a way, that's a kind of form of meditation, because it's focusing on the counting.
It's like the sheep.
It's not.
It's like the
Yes,
sheep going over.
Exactly. And then it allows everything else to take place in the background, because the conscious mind, the thinking mind, is just focusing on this thing. And then we're getting all the benefits as well.
And I know you said that one of the things that really brought you to Wim Hof was to do with the science part behind it. And I know that one of his, I know that he was an amazing at doing all of his, the Guinness Book of Records and all the things that he did. But the science part, it was him trying to prove that he wasn't the only one who was a superhuman.
Yes.
That we could all do it. Can you tell the story about him doing the E. coli, experiment?
It's so Wim would say himself that he was ridiculed for 30, 40 years, that he was seen as this crazy Dutch man jumping in the ice, doing all this breathing. And, that he was exiled, he was kind of pushed to the fringes of society. So when he started to kind of feel the effects and was able to do all these amazing things, he was convinced that he could at will improve his immune system, which is thought to be impossible. So eventually, after doing all these world records, one of the universities in Holland called Radboud University, they had this model in place already where they tested the effectiveness of drugs. So they would bring people in, eject them with a form of E. coli, give them whatever drug they were testing, and everyone got sick. You got nauseous, fever, everything. So they saw Wim claiming that he could boost his immune system, and they already had this existing model in
Study.
place.
Yeah, yeah.
So they brought Wim in, they injected him with a form of E. coli. He used the breathing that we teach at all the workshops, and within 15 minutes, he had no symptoms. He had, his immune system was fighting it off, and it turned our understanding of what was possible upside down.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the next question is,
It's only him.
it's only him. He's the freak. If he can run up Mount Everest, of course he can do something freakish like this. So they asked Wim, could you bring a group of people in and teach them how to do it? And how long would you need? A year to teach them how to do it? So Wim taught them in about 2 or 3 days, how to do it. They brought them in. I think it was about 13 or 14 people. They gave them an injection with a form of E. coli, and they were all able to fight it off. No symptoms at all. So that has really changed our understanding of what is possible. So we can, using the breath, using the lungs, we can bring about more efficiency in your immune system. So this is thought to be impossible. But the scientific world moves very, very slowly.
Yeah.
So we now have the evidence that this is possible, but it takes a long, long time for it to get from there to a place where potentially we should be encouraging people now to do some breathing to help deal with all the viruses that we're facing at the moment.
Yeah, and especially nowadays, because we're adapting to this whole thing of social media and all that. It's his message and his teachings are going out much faster than they would have been doing 20 years ago.
Yes, absolutely.
And say, for instance, for you, so coming back to you, you're a level 3 instructor now. You've trained on him. You're level 3. So I take it that in Ireland we have places. I think I know that, say for instance, I've been to places where it's been really cold. We go skiing, it's really cold. But I think with Ireland, we have not only the cold, we have that wind. And it's the wind, I think, that kills me the most. Because especially if you're coming out of the sea and it's cold, it's trying to get back to the towel because the wind will cut you in half.
Yes.
So is there any place that you have here that you do your training from? I think somebody was saying you do somewhere in Clare.
Yes, we have an amazing venue, the Cliffs of Moher Retreat, and Cosmo magazine had it as one of the top 10 retreat centers in the world. So we're very lucky to partner with Michelle and Michael down there, and we have retreats there. Well, when
you will have
once a month down there, and it's right on the Cliffs of Moher. So as you're saying, so we don't have a huge mountain like Śnieżka in Poland, but when you're walking in your pair of shorts in the depths of winter and there's 100-mile-an-hour winds coming off the Atlantic, it is more difficult to deal with, because I've been in both.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult. That wind that you're talking about is so painful, when it's sweeping across the bare body, so yes, we use what we have here in Ireland, which is, we kind of like to joke that our cold feels colder, but and you don't have to go too far in Ireland to find a stiff wind. That's for sure.
But and then, again, would you do the same type of training workshops that he would do? Like you would it's a gradual thing where you start with people, with light amount of clothes, then eventually get to the point if they want to take their strip off to their shorts or their pants, so they do it in that way.
So it's always kind of, what people are comfortable with, for sure. But people in preparation for the workshops or the retreats are asked to do hot and cold showers in preparation. Now, half of them don't do them, so we often get people
who are just doing it on the first day.
Who are doing it the first day and they're jumping in the ice bath, but they are getting expert training immediately in how to do it all. And before we get into the ice bath, we learn how to breathe. We learn how to focus on our breath. We learn how to move and breathe. We learn how to prepare mentally for the cold and how to warm up, so it's a great way to just immerse yourself in the experience. And we've had people having incredible experiences after 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights down to retreat. So, and that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to when they open back up again.
Yeah, that's the missing part of it. It's like, the physical, you're having people physically there. And when you're saying about the actual baths themselves, so you're saying the bath, where do you get the ice from?
Yeah, well, we have.
I only have an ice bucket here in my fridge. I wouldn't be able to even have an ice bath. I'd be here all day trying to make ice.
We have a company here in Dublin called All Bar None, I think, and they supply ice to all the restaurants and bars and everything. So when our events are running, they are delivering ice to us at our venues all over the place. So
Very good.
and we have freezers here in the house where we keep loads of ice as well. So we always have ice. We
Yeah.
always have ice. There's no,
Because I know I saw
no-
one time when we started the lockdown first, you had these like buckets where you were making the ice
yeah.
yourself.
So that's the kind of sustainable way of doing it. So if people are interested in making it, you just get the big flexi buckets, put water in them, and put them in the freezer, and you come out
Yeah.
with these massive icebergs. So
Yeah.
that's
And you
the
break
kind
it
of
up.
easy way to do it. You know.
And would you recommend somebody to do it on their own first, or would you recommend somebody to start following you obviously on your page first, so they can see the gradual build up to get to that point where they jump into an ice bucket?
Yeah, definitely. Like if a person gets into an ice bath without much experience, they're going to
Yeah.
jump back out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not going to be very pleasant, and they're not going to get much from it. So definitely take it gradually, and yeah, come to one of the workshops or follow stuff online, whatever is easiest. But definitely, you want some guidance when you're going through that.
Or start with just the cold shower. Start with 10 seconds in the cold shower.
Absolutely, that's the place to start. You know, and it has to be. We have hectic lives, and you know it has to be convenient. So it doesn't get easier. No, not easier. More as convenient as hot shower going to cold shower.
Yeah.
You know, it's very difficult to do it, but it's right there. It's right there for. It's very accessible whenever we need it.
Yeah. So could you give us a little technique, or like, you know, for somebody out there who just every now and then gets that stress or gets the anxiety build? Can you give us, you know, a couple of minutes of
Yeah, of
how
course.
to breathe? Could you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, of course.
You don't obviously need any music or anything. You just
No, we can
go it.
we can just take it now. So,
Yeah.
and you're going to be the person I guide
I'm going to be the
through it.
person. Yeah. I'm
Yes,
going to close. If I fall asleep now, let
that's
you
all
press.
right. I'll
Let
knock on
you
the
press
window.
the
So, and anybody watching as well, just take a moment now, just to find somewhere nice and safe and comfortable to sit down, or if you want to really lie down, and just close your eyes for a moment. And with your eyes closed, just paying attention to your breath as it is now. So, in your own mind, how would you describe your exhale? Does it feel shallow? Does it feel deep? How would you describe your inhale? Does it feel ragged? Or does it feel smooth? And watch that by placing our attention on our breath, it immediately starts to change. We immediately start to take control of the breath and gently breathing in through the nose and breathing all the way out. When you reach the bottom of your exhale, breathing gently in and breathing all the way out. Continue to breathe like this. The inhale is soft and deep. The exhale is all the way out. And as we breathe like this, with this focus on that long exhale, we begin to feel the body shifting down into a place where it feels safe. Breathing in and all the way out. Every exhale taking us a little deeper. Breathing in and all the way out. The mind following the breath as it works its way up through the body. The mind following the breath as we breathe all the way out. 3 more breaths like this. Our focus is on that long exhale, following that exhale all the way out, and then breathing in and breathing out. Last time, gently in and all the way out. And keeping your eyes closed for a moment. Just rest here for a moment. Your breath finding its way back to its normal rhythm. And this is the breath that we use to find calm and peace in the chaos. Calm and peace in the cold. This focus on the long exhale. That's the end, my friend. You're still with us.
Asleep right there. Oh my God, I need to do that more often.
And
It's
even taking a minute or two just to focus on that exhale.
Yeah.
We all have 2 minutes to focus on an exhale. You know?
I find that when you do this, it's like people say when they breathe out, they go, breathing out like we're pursing the lips. Takes it longer to come out, like swimming breath.
Yes, so you're trying. Now there's benefits to both, like letting the breath out like a sigh.
Yeah.
But when we're forced to breathe all the way to the end, the vagus nerve starts to go bing, and we can feel the entire body shifting into the parasympathetic nervous system. You can feel the whole body starting to let go, you know, and that's really, most of us are probably running around in a mild state of survival or emergency or fight or flight. So taking 2 minutes like that just to breathe out changes how we feel.
And you don't have, I know you're on Instagram, but you don't have an app like, you know, those mind space apps. Like that's the next thing for you, because your voice.
That's the next thing.
That can knock anyone out.
Yeah.
If it can knock me, it can knock anyone out.
We do a lot of.
You do your courses, aren't you?
The online course, the online breathwork course, is available in the app as an app as well.
Oh, it is. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. So for anybody who enjoyed that little bit of breathing, I have an online breathwork course that people can do that takes you deeper into understanding the breath and how to use it. And the first level is free, so you get access to the first level for free for 10 days.
Perfect.
And the first level is focused on helping people deal with stress and anxiety and worry through breathing. So you can find that on the website.
Yeah. And then you're also doing your courses when we're back, obviously, after the whole COVID experience, we'll be back. You're doing courses, you'll be doing it down in Clare, those actually in-person courses.
Yeah, the retreats are in Clare, and the half-day workshops, Wim Hof method workshops, are here in Dublin mostly.
Right.
And in Cork as well.
And are you an instructor that you're able to teach the people to get into the first level of Wim Hof, or do you have to do it with Wim Hof?
That all goes through the academy in Holland. And they have a backlog of people, you know.
Yeah, I'd say so.
they had loads of people, you know, wanting to be instructors, but the whole thing has been on hold for 10 months or so. So they're kind of getting it slowly back up and running.
Yeah, everybody's doing it in a different way. Well, look, thank you so much. And for anybody out there who wants to find Niall, again, he's on at breath with Niall. Because I missed the E.
Don't forget the E.
Your email. Don't forget the E. Breathe with Niall. At Breathe with Niall on Instagram. You're also breathewithniall.com, and obviously with your keep an eye on your social media platforms for all the up and coming courses as soon as obviously we're back out.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'll be having my cold shower every morning now. I'm telling you how I'm getting on. And will you be down in Portmarnock anytime soon? Do you do that like is it once a week that you go down there? I know a lot of people said that they met you down there.
Yeah, before COVID, we used to do these free events called Wim Rise. And we usually do. I'm from Portmarnock, but I'm living in Booterstown here, so we usually tend to do them. One on the north side, then one on the south side, and one on the north side.
Because my sister said you're trying to rob her secret space over there. She lives over there, and she said
she lives right down the road here.
He's always down right across the road from me, robbing my secret space, my little treasure island. She says.
So we'll be back. We'll be back with those Wim Rise events. We had nearly 1,000 people at the last.
Amazing.
One, so,
social distance.
It'll be We need a big beach. That's why Portmarnock is the beach.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you so much. Thank you so much again. I'm so grateful for that, because it does help me with the connection, obviously, for myself. You know, everybody needs it. And it's just to bring that connection to the breath with all levels of the body, because as much as I do Reiki and I teach people how to breathe, I think this is a totally different way of doing it. And it's very, very effective. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Namaste.